Aries would be able to determine if the methane is in fact a signature of life. This is very important because the measurements returned from Aries could definitively prove the existence of life on another world. Now, this is an unmanned aircraft, right? So what type of instruments will be on board Aries?
Right now, if we had to decide on the science payload, we would pick an instrument that analyzes the atmosphere. We would also have an instrument which would look at the ground of Mars as we fly over, and it will measure the mineralogy and chemical composition of the ground. We'll also study magnetism in the crust of Mars. And one of the most exciting instruments on the airplane is not really a scientific instrument, it's a video camera. The video camera will be in the tail of the plane. As we fly, the airplane will be in the foreground, and in the background you'll see the Mars surface as we fly over. What better way than to bring the public, to bring the world with us as we fly through the atmosphere of Mars? We believe we can help rewrite the textbook about planet Mars with our first flight of Aries on Mars.
So how will you control Aries from the Earth? Will it be done remotely?
We're not going to control Aries remotely because the time it takes for a radio signal to go from Earth to Mars or Mars to Earth can be 15 minutes to 30 minutes because of the distance involved. We will pre-program Aries, and if something happens during the one-year flight to Mars, we can alter the computer program. We can transmit new instructions to the airplane in the spacecraft as it's flying to Mars.
If Aries is going to be flying in the Martian atmosphere, how do you test it here on Earth?
The atmosphere of Mars is very, very thin. It's about 1% of the thickness of the Earth's atmosphere. In fact, near the surface of Mars, the atmosphere is like the Earth's atmosphere at 100,000 feet. This presents a very interesting problem because, as you know, an airplane depends on lift to fly. Lift depends on the density of the atmosphere. So what our engineers had to do is design and build an airplane that has a very large area on the wing, and the airfoil, which is a curvature of the wing, had to be designed in such a way to give maximum lift. Now, we have tested the airplane in several wind tunnels at the NASA Langley Research Center, and in September 2002, we actually did a high-altitude test. The plane was put in a high-altitude helium balloon. It went up over 100,000 feet. It was folded up. We deployed the airplane from the balloon. It started to fall to Earth. Then the wings snapped open and the tail opened, and it was in controlled flight. So we tested this under Mars conditions.
How can the Aries mission contribute to human exploration of Mars and beyond?
Aries can scout out the area where humans will land, make sure it's safe, it's level, there are no craters, no mountains, no hills. Because we're close to the planet, we get very high resolution measurements. Another thing that Aries can do, which is very important, is we believe there's water below the surface of Mars. And humans will use that water for drinking and for other resource management once on the surface. Aries can determine which areas of the surface of Mars have subsurface water. So we believe that even though Aries was designed for scientific exploration of Mars, that there is an important role for Aries to support the exploration of humans, reduce risk, and ensure the safety of humans living and exploring Mars. On December 17, 1903, not too far from the Langley Research Center in Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, history was made with the flight of the first powered airplane. Our lives have not been the same since. We are hoping and expect that the first flight on Mars by Aries will revolutionize the way we study planets, will revolutionize the way we obtain scientific data, and will provide a new and important tool to ensure the safety of humans living and exploring on Mars.
Researchers believe that this type of aerial exploration may also be used on other planets as well. Of course, one of the key areas of study for NASA researchers here on our home planet is the safety of passenger flights. This concern has been a cornerstone of research from early studies in stalling and icing problems up through our present safety issues. While NASA researchers have had innumerable successes in aircraft